In 1935, in a small village in Denmark, there was an ancient house hidden deep within a dense forest, isolated and desolate. The locals avoided the house, believing it to be haunted. A rumor had been passed down for years. A wealthy family had once lived there, but they mysteriously perished on a snowy night at the end of the previous century. The survivors never returned, and the house had been abandoned ever since. Lennart, a young man from the city, had heard of this haunted house through the village tales when he visited during the summer. He was a journalist and decided to write an article about the house, despite all the warnings. Lennart didn't believe in ghosts or supernatural stories. He saw them as mere legends that needed to be unraveled. One evening, as dusk settled in, Lennart decided to find the house. He gathered his flashlight, camera, and notebook to document everything. The path through the forest grew increasingly wild, with thick trees seemingly closing in around him. The only sounds were the rustling leaves and Lennart's footsteps echoing in the stillness. After a long walk, he finally reached the house. There it stood, silent in the darkness, like a relic from the past. The roof was crumbling, the windows shattered, but the house retained an eerie, ancient grandeur. Lennart entered through the front door and was surprised to find everything inside still intact. The old furniture, faded paintings on the walls, and oil lamps that had run out of oil, everything remained frozen in time. A cold, chilling atmosphere enveloped the space. Suddenly, Lennart heard a strange noise from upstairs. A faint screeching sound, like something heavy being dragged across the floor. He froze, but decided to go upstairs, hoping to discover the source of the strange noise. Upon entering the master bedroom, the light from Lennart's flashlight illuminated an old bed covered with yellowed sheets. A painting on the wall depicted a noble couple with mysterious smiles. But what caught Lennart's attention was the eyes in the painting. They were not like ordinary eyes. They seemed to be staring directly at him, full of anger and disdain. Then from under the bed, a dim figure began to emerge. Lennart felt a chill run down his spine, but he couldn't bring himself to leave. The figure gradually took shape, revealing a woman in an old ballroom gown, her face pale and hollow, her eyes empty. She didn't move, but her gaze seemed to speak directly to Lennart. "Run, before it's too late," she whispered, her voice echoing in the silence. Lennart couldn't react in time, as a cold gust of wind suddenly blew through the window, extinguishing his flashlight. In the complete darkness, he heard soft footsteps and labored breathing from behind him. His heart pounded in his chest, and when he turned around, he saw nothing but a solid wall. He tried to stand, but his legs felt as if they were being held down by some unseen force. A deep cold slowly spread throughout his body. "You cannot escape," the woman's voice came again. Lennart screamed, rushing out of the room, but as he ran down the hallway, the doors began to slam shut on their own, trapping him inside. The cold hands of spirits seemed to reach for him, and ghostly figures drifted past, laughing softly as if they took pleasure in his terror. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Lennart made it outside the house, but when he looked back, it was still standing there, silent and foreboding. The sound of sighs from within echoed out as if someone was calling him back. Lennart hurried away from the forest, not daring to look back. But as he glanced down at his hand, he noticed a small trail of blood dripping from his palm, though he couldn't remember when or how he had been injured. When he returned to the village, there was only one question on his mind. Was the house really haunted by trapped souls, or was it the house itself that was the trap from which we could never escape? Since then, no one dared approach the house in the forest, and Lennart, though he survived, never wrote about his experience. The horrifying images he witnessed stayed with him, haunting him for the rest of his life.